Why, hello there. I've been expecting you. Welcome back to yet another awesome episode of Recommendation Domination, the show in which we recommend you 2 films from the past and 1 for the future in order to enhance your movie-going experience. This week we're kicking it old school and going back to the method in which we recommend you films based off of the last film we reviewed on Rule 3's Reviews. And this week, it's X-Men Days of Future Past, and I enjoyed this film immensely, so hopefully you will enjoy these recommendations just as much. On that note, I'm gonna go to this perfect couch right behind me because, quite frankly, the only reason I'm sitting in this seat is to do an intro sequence. Speaking of intro sequences, let's be honest. What kind of movie fan would I be if I didn't recommend a time travel movie with Days of Future Past on the brain? To be honest, a pretty clever one. Well, maybe I should just take the high road, try something more creative, intelligent, or, then again, Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Screw it. Let's talk about Looper. Coming to you from the mind behind 3 Breaking Bad episodes, obligatory Breaking Bad reference, check. Comes a time travel movie unlike any other. Looper centers around a world where mafia men send victims back in time secretly in order to be killed by a certain group of people named Loopers. One day, Joe, who just so happens to be a Looper, sees his older self appear. There's just one problem. Joe doesn't kill his older self, and thus the chase is on to, quote-unquote, close the loop. This beyond brilliant concept is merely a catalyst for some of the intriguing yet completely unpredictable moments of Looper. The plot is easily one of its most prominent selling points. This sheer shock value keeps you on the edge of your seat, along with the subtle amazingness brought about by the excellent pairing of Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. Add to that the interesting sci-fi look and an unforgettable conclusion, and you have one of the biggest surprises of 2012. If you missed out on this gem 2 years ago, there's no better time to see what you've been missing. Another key element of Days of Future Past is the relationship between Charles Xavier and Mystique. He acts like a brother to her throughout the entire movie, always trying to lead her in the right direction, despite how hopeless it may seem. He never gives up, and this reminds me a lot of the relationship between Lilo and Stitch in Lilo and Stitch. Stitch is an alien from outer space, and Lilo is a young Hawaiian girl, yet somehow they manage to become the best of friends, as they both help each other fill the vacant hole in their life: purpose. Lilo and Stitch is easily one of my favorite animated films of all time, mainly because of the relationship between the 2 lead characters. The X-Men series is always revolving around this human and mutant conflict, and thankfully here in Lilo and Stitch we're dealing with something a bit similar, except here we're dealing with a family dynamic, and in X-Men we're dealing with a pseudo-family dynamic, a threat of extinction, a public consensus, and of course, psychological distress. So, we're on a bit of a lighter note here, to say the least. In this case, Lilo and Nani are dealing with the always popular don't judge a book by its cover story, where Stitch may seem like a vile creature on the outside, but if broken down, is only looking for a home and, as I said earlier, a purpose. It's a simple story, yet still feels just as fresh thanks to the great family dynamic between Lilo and Nani. Plus, just a side note, the combination of Jumba and Pleakley ranks as one of my favorite Disney animated comic duos, up there with Yzma and Kronk, Mike and Sully, and even Jasper and Horace. Please tell me I'm not the only person who actually remembers Jasper and Horace. Oh well. Either way, that's a different movie. Go watch Lilo and Stitch. It's pretty damn great. Today's future recommendation is going to be a film that really not many people have been talking about as of late. It got a trailer a few weeks ago, and there are quite a few prominent names on this cast, so I really do want to talk about Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. One immediate draw, akin to Days of Future Past, is its large ensemble cast, including the likes of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Eva Green, Josh Brolin, Ray Liotta, and even Lady Gaga. Not to mention, several stars from the original Sin City are back, including Bruce Willis, Jessica Alba, Mickey Rourke, and Rosario Dawson. Clearly, we've got a big cast here, most of which are extremely talented actors. I was always a fan of the art style and tone of the original Sin City. It was just so stylistic and ominous and really did remind me of a Frank Miller comic book. Say what you will about his writing or his storytelling, but the visuals are always interesting. Miller always makes his book his own. For better or for worse. But the real question is, will this sequel be for better or for worse? Well, I guess we'll find out when Sin City: A Dame to Kill For comes to theaters on August 22nd, 2014. Ugh, would you look at the time? 1:30 a freckle. Well, it looks like I'm all out of time here on Recommendation Domination this week. Thanks for watching. And remember, the best movies you'll ever see, you may not have seen just yet. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Recommendation Domination. If you're interested, you can watch the previous episode of the show by clicking on the video playing at the bottom right. Or if you'd like a playlist of every episode of Recommendation Domination made thus far, you can click on those very words at the top of the video. Also, if you'd like to stay updated on all things Rule Thirds, you can follow us on Twitter at RuleThirds, or like us on Facebook, facebook.com/RuleThirds, and access those pages by clicking on the corresponding links. And of course, for all things film culture, you can go to our very own website, RuleThirds.com, for more fun by clicking on that corresponding link on the screen. Again, thank you so much for watching, and click away.